This is Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready. We're about to live in your head rent-free.
Hello, snakes and otterites. I have to include the snakes because they're much underappreciated in our demographics.
That's probably quite true.
Welcome to episode 254, where we are going to go a step back in time slightly and examine the favorite movie and TV shows of Generation X, and more importantly, why we found them nostalgic. I'm Andre.
Are we backwards?
Yeah,
I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
So it's a very cozy episode this time.
It is.
It's just the three of us.
It has really discombobulated the opening.
Yes, it has. Cajun is he has a former pirate queen, not the current pirate
Yes.
queen, but a former pirate queen. He's assisting with some health issues,
And the current pirate queen is quite supportive of that, which is quite good.
It's a really, really, really good thing.
Yes, Mrs. Cajun is quite the catch.
Yeah.
I hear the Imperators and some hashram involved in a sexual escapade.
Well, I thought it was the Sarmatians were crossing the border of the Danube, but
with the Imperator, it could
They're
be all
not
of that.
exclusive.
Yeah, I mean tomato.
You never know. That's the thing about the Imperator, as he would probably rightly admit. The Imperator stories always have at least one element of truth to them. It's your job to figure out which one. which is what makes him the quintessential Gen X storyteller.
Which small kernel of truth in
Yes.
this tapestry of storytelling.
Yes.
So that accounts for Cajun and the Imperator.
Francis is currently busy in preparation for the big celebration next week.
Yep.
So Francis turns the big 6-0 next week. So happy birthday, Francis. This will have aired by then.
Yes, it'll air just after.
Yes. But that's why he is not here. Mrs. Francis has his butt working.
Yeah. Top to bottom scrubbing of the casa.
The
there.
ancestral manse.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, unfortunately, I will be in Cincinnati next week. I will be missing that.
You get to go see an NFL game, the real
I
thing.
do. I get to go see the Lions beat up on the Bengals, I hope.
Yes, they will.
You hope.
They will.
Well, anything can happen.
You know those Looney Tunes cartoons where like Bugs holds up the coyote's back end and hits it with a 2x4 repeatedly? That's what it's going to be like.
And for those Bengals fans, I'm sorry when I say this, but I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, if it's anything like the domination the Lions had of the Ravens' offensive line,
Dude.
I mean, who sacks Lamar 7 times?
Dude. Well, they played it so smart. They didn't try to crowd in on him.
Uh-huh.
It's all about rush integrity with Lamar.
I don't watch much NFL football, but I watched that game and I was just like, that is a spanking.
That game was not nearly as close as the score indicated at the end.
Yeah, they let him get a couple of garbage times, and beating up on the Ravens is
In
an accomplishment.
Baltimore, yeah.
Is an accomplishment. There's a good team. Baltimore's a good team. They know what they're doing, and just whipped them. So
yeah, I was shocked.
Congrats to the Lions. Honolulu Blue is looking good.
Yep, losing the defensive and offensive coordinators to the Jets and the Bears, respectively, has not slowed them down. Other than that first game, where I think, honestly, I don't like.
Called it too tight. That was the main.
Yeah,
thing. They just
well,
called
that
it
and I
too
think
tight.
the starters are not getting enough time in preseason. I think that
Yeah.
first game is more like a preseason game. They're still warming up.
It's such a tune-up. Yeah.
And I wish they would play them more.
Yeah, they figured out what to do without the guys that retired, and they were missing on the offensive line now. So that was a big plus. So, okay.
Sorry to
Well,
digress there.
That's
but
okay. I wanted to
Martin and I can talk football every once in a while,
And I wanted to offer my thanks to Mrs. Brother Andre, who allowed us to invade the Studio A today, and she was nice enough to run out and get us some Scooby snacks so we could enjoy our time here together.
Scooby snacks, because you know what Scooby snacks really are, don't you?
The munchies after you're stoned to the bejeebers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the brownies, you know.
Yeah, that is not indicative of what we have done here, by the way.
No, it's just very nice charcuterie board.
Yeah, I have to.
That's very fancy for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's sausage and crackers.
Well, the charcuterie board, I heard that people our age enjoy them so much because they're nothing more than Lunchables for adults. and we grew up on Lunchables.
Actually, I did not.
No, that kind of came along after, but we
Well, at least for us, you're a little. Well, you're not that much younger than us, though.
bought them for our kids. So I
Yeah,
mean,
we definitely bought 'em for our
Yeah,
kids.
so we were jealous that the kids got like
Well, it's not to say we've never eaten a
a lunch.
Lunchable.
Like really, I got like, Lunchable was when they wrapped the can of Coke in
Aluminum
foil. Aluminum
thinking
foil.
that was
Well,
gonna keep it
that's
cold.
an old school Yeti.
Yeah. So it's
Exactly.
like this. We were jealous of the Lunchables we bought for our kids, so now charcuterie boards are our version.
Yeah, the only thing missing is steak and some ribs or something.
Yeah.
That's coming as soon as we hit stop on the record button.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
But anyway, so we want to go back in time and look at Generation X, the movies that we all enjoyed and TV shows, and more importantly, why we think that we look at them with such nostalgia. And then in pre workups, we were talking yesterday about would these shows be allowed to be aired today?
Most of them, no, I think.
So
Some of them would.
So let's start by just blurting out some of your favorite TV shows and movies, and why what resonates with you about those shows.
Favorite is an interesting way to put some of this, just as a thought
Mhm.
before we get into that, because
Yep.
having only 3 channels meant that we may have watched something every episode, but that's only because it was the only thing on.
If we were at home at the time,
Well, yeah. Well, there's always winter when it got dark early, and you're watching the first runs. We never saw the reruns because that was all in the summer.
That's why first runs were never in the summer.
Right. Exactly.
'Cause-
Exactly.
They kick you out the house and don't come back till the sun comes down.
Yeah.
and if you missed one, it might be 2 or 3 years before you saw it again.
Yeah.
Well, and our generation, we got way more episodes than they do now, and mostly, especially streaming stuff, don't even get a full season. But when we were born in the '60s, those of us who were born in the '60s, seasons were often longer than 26 episodes. And if you have more than 26 episodes, you can't do a repeat on all of them
Yeah.
because there are only 52 weeks in a
Yeah,
year.
A lot of stuff used to be 30, 32 episodes.
Yes.
So you're talking about hitching the writing staff to a table and
Yep.
cuffing them to it and making them write episodes.
And the
well,
acting staff,
yeah.
the
Producers,
production staff.
Yeah. Well, and what that let them do was the stinker episodes didn't get the best ratings. They didn't repeat.
Yeah, like Fonzie jumping the shark.
I'm willing to bet that episode got just as high ratings as any other, and the show went on for another 5 years. So it did not kill its popularity. So
That was a stinker.
I'm not saying it was a great episode, but again, 3 channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll throw the first one out. Going to movies, the one that I could sit and watch ad nauseum is the movie Top Gun.
Oh,
And I don't know if it was
It was the volleyball scene, wasn't it?
guilty. For those of you that don't have visuals, they just fist bumped each other, calling into question my masculinity and heterosexuality.
you could be masculine in like the volleyball scene, I guess.
But
some of those guys are pretty buff.
there was a combination that drew me to that movie of patriotism,
Mhm.
the American kicking butt of some unnamed bad nation, North Korea, or
Libya.
or and then also
And volleyball.
and okay, and volleyball, and it didn't hurt with the love scene between the hot blonde,
the cool love story. Yeah.
Kelly McGillis, yeah, she's something
Pretty.
else.
you
Yep.
know, an interesting side story on that love scene. It's all shot in shadows, and there was a reason for that. There was no love interest in the original movie, so they had to recall Kelly McGillis to come back and shoot it. But she was already shooting a different movie. She had dyed her hair a different color,
Oh, interesting.
and so
And is a foot and a half taller than Tom Cruise.
everybody's
everybody's
a foot and a half
half taller than Tom Cruise.
So you
Yeah.
kind of had,
But, so all of those things, I was coming of age at the time, coming into manhood, so to speak.
You have you have a very soft spot in your heart. Maybe. Well, anyways,
All these
Uh,
feelings you didn't understand, that kind of thing.
for
for a
Jessica
lesbian.
Rabbit as well. Yeah, right.
What?
You also have a very soft spot in your heart for Jessica Rabbit.
No
Yes.
comment. It sounds like we might have to discuss why you liked Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, the story was good. Tight plot. Bob Hoskins, excellent actor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. You mentioned Top Gun. It's obviously something to be made today because they just did a part two.
Yeah,
30
yeah.
years later. That was an iconic movie. When I think of movies, though, my favorite movies, I didn't necessarily see most of them in the theater. Growing up, we just didn't go to the movies
Yeah.
that often.
Cable.
Saw them on cable or rented them.
Yeah.
Later.
I mean,
Well, cable, the reception of cable in our home was a huge
oh,
deal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and half the stuff back then would put Skinamax to shame. Because it was cheap stuff. Because a lot of the early in the 80s, a lot of the cable systems were just local things, and they were playing whatever movies they could get rights to, which I always found interesting later.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, this whole idea of the cable channel is like, okay, well, we got to have content.
Yeah,
We're going 24 hours a day. We got to have content. So they just, threw stuff at walls to see
Mhm.
what worked. And so, yeah, okay, we've got these almost first run movies on HBO and
Mhm.
Showtime and all that, the movie channel. But it's like we got to fill in other stuff too. And it was kind of that first time of competition outside the big three.
yes,
The stuff you see now where Netflix wins awards for shows and Apple wins awards for shows and Hulu wins award for all their self-produced content. It was like, this is the first time that's happening, and they were just whatever.
yeah.
Stand-up comics, yeah, okay. We don't know if anybody will watch.
The
But
stand-up comics of the 80s would not be allowed to speak today. Eddie Murphy and Raw?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, even Robin Williams, half of his stuff, he would not be able to do
Yeah.
today back then.
yeah,
But as far as movies, to me, the iconic '80s movie that I think is still my favorite one made in the '80s is Better Off Dead. And I've talked about that when
Yeah.
talking about favorite movies.
It-
movies you
it-
got to watch.
Yeah, certainly
I'm
the
not
team.
familiar with
Oh my God, you're not
You
familiar
don't know
with it.
Better Off Dead?
describe it.
John Cusack, he's in love with this girl, and she dumps him for a guy that can ski the K-12, which even Olympians can't ski without
Roy Stalin.
Roy Stalin. Yeah.
This sounds like an outline for a Hallmark movie.
Oh no. This
Oh,
is
no.
like this is the devil's.
So I have to go watch this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to watch Better Off Dead.
Diane Lane is the little French girl that stays with Ricky across the street, and it's Ricky, Dan Schneider.
Yes.
Before what was the show? Head of the Class.
Head of the Class.
Head of the
Before he's
Class.
on Head of the Class with Howard Hesseman.
Yeah, and when he was as big or bigger than he ever was on Head of the Class. David Ogden Stiers was the father. Kim Darby was the mother. Badger was his little brother that was, building things like lasers and learning how to pick up trashy women. And
Curtis Armstrong was his bestest buddy.
yes,
He'd been in that high school for 7 years. He was no dummy.
he was no dummy.
I have to watch this movie.
Oh, you must. The newspaper kid. Have you never heard the line, "I want my $2"?
No clue what you're talking about.
Oh my! How did we let him on this show? This is
mean, we
supposed to be
just-
your time to shine. You are really hitting a low note to start. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we just assumed, and that was our bad.
That
We
was, yeah.
assumed that it was just he would understand these what do you call them?
Nuances.
Cultural touchstones.
Cultural touchstones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better Off Dead is a 80s cultural touchstone. It is just as much a touchstone to me, anyways, as my second one that I would pick, which would be Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
16 Candles and Breakfast Club and
Yes.
Better Off
I can't
Dead
get
are all
behind
right there.
16 Candles was a good movie, but it didn't give me the feels.
No, I love
It's not
16
meant to give you the
I love
feels.
16 Candles. My thing, we've talked about this before. Breakfast Club cuts a little too close to home sometimes.
It does. Well, that's what makes it the
could be-
enduring movie.
Yeah, I mean, it could be tough.
Yeah.
I heard an interesting take on 16 Candles that said that the Allison Sheedy's character, was it Allison?
That's
That's
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Ali Sheedy. Yeah,
that I heard this idea on the Breakfast Club. She was the only one in detention, and she made up all the other characters in her head, and that's why the teacher that was holding never reacted to the pot smoking or the people falling through the roof, and she made all of this up.
He did hear the people falling through the roof, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because he did come in. What was that commotion? And they do the coughing thing.
yeah. The bull mess with the bull, you're going to get the
horns.
Yeah, but yeah, that's an interesting. I've
So,
heard
and,
that's
and,
theory.
Better Off Dead, the part of the goofiness of it is again the
It's
girl
the absurdity.
the absurdity. Beth breaks up with him to go start dating Roy Stalin, and he keeps trying to kill himself.
Who's
but he
who's a
can't do it.
total douchebag too. Roy
Yeah,
Stalin. He's
Roy Stalin.
the epitome of every homecoming king that we all despised.
Yeah, I mean he was
wanna see this
James
movie more
Spader
and
without
more.
being James Spader.
Right. Oh yes, exactly. He was Steph from Pretty in Pink, but the Kmart version.
Yes, yes.
He's the Kmart Steph. Yeah, yeah. Oh
Okay.
my God, that's perfect.
And so at one point, John Cusack is standing on like an overpass over a city street, and he's on the other side, and Curtis Armstrong pedals his bicycle up to him and says, "Don't worry, little buddy, we'll beat that slope together," and slaps him on the back and knocks him off the overpass into the street, and it just happens to be a garbage truck going by, an
Just
open,
so happens.
an open.
Just so happens, yeah.
So he lands in this open top garbage truck, and there's two guys,
Lineman.
linemen, for the electric company, trimming trees back off the power lines, and they look down, and they see him in the back of the garbage truck,
And the
Yeah.
black dude.
and he says, "And folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that."
I've seen that scene.
You've seen that? So that's Better Off Dead.
Okay. I'm going to go back. I hope my boss isn't listening to this, but I work from home, so I keep the TV on all day long. So
Oh yeah.
Monday at 9:00, I'm going to click that movie on and
If you
watch it.
do, you will not get anything done until the movie is over because
Okay.
it is that
I
fun.
mean, E.G. Daily singing, you gotta love
oh
that.
my gosh, yes.
Yes.
She can sing.
Yes, yeah.
She's the one who played what most people who are not really nerds, but with Pee Wee's girlfriend in Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Tommy.
Yes, and Tommy. She's Tommy from Rugrats, the
Okay.
voice of Tommy.
She's the
yeah.
voice of Tommy on Rugrats, yeah.
Yeah.
And Valley Girl. Very
Mhm.
prominent
Okay,
role
you've
for
given us
Valley
two
Girl.
great examples of your favorites. Why do you feel they're nostalgic, and why do they?
Well, actually, Martin has not given his. yet.
okay.
So I'm going to go a different direction and go a little later and say that aside from 80s teen comedies, as we moved into adulthood, became 28, 29, 30, this became our touchstone film, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
Okay, I hate to be continually being the voice of dissent. It's a good movie, but to hear people rave about it, maybe I just don't understand it because it's a good movie, but it's just a whole series of small events that are tied together in non-chronological order.
Yes.
Yes, and in some ways that kind of
Mrs. Martin despises it.
it's the epitome of some of our memories. A whole series of vignettes in non-chronological order that we remember. It's so.
And we're going to discuss more on the whys and the wherefores and everything, but it's just a film that we grew up immersed in make-believe violence,
Yes.
and we were like, yeah,
From Saturday morning
from
cartoons
Saturday
on.
morning, everything, and we grew up with
Three
Western
Stooges.
violence. We grew up with James Arness shooting someone on Gunsmoke every week.
And we grew up with WWE wrestling and
Yeah.
Mid-South wrestling, but I think there was a clear differentiation between actual violence and entertainment violence.
There was, yes, and for the most part,
But we grew up really not knowing that. You're too young when you're 10 and you're you're watching, Saturday morning anvils drop on coyotes, and then
I'd say most of us
Sunday,
understood that that's
but
it's not real.
right, but you laugh at
Yes.
injury, you laugh, and again, the Rifleman was on
Mhm.
constantly. Tons of the old westerns
Lucas.
were on constantly, and what happened in every episode?
Somebody got shot.
Somebody got shot, and
Well,
again, there were
multiple times.
30 episodes a season. So I mean, there's, by the time you get 3 or 4 seasons of Gunsmoke,
You've killed 1,000 people.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like James Arness has literally shot
Sometimes you kill the same person 10 times.
Yes.
120 people. Is like, there's not that many. I mean, there's not that many bad guys in these towns.
Not anymore.
So we felt that violence was a reasonable way to solve problems.
Do you think that leads to the current day, shooting epidemics and
I don't think so,
violence?
because aside from maybe some of the very earliest examples of people shooting things up, I don't think most of them are Gen Xers.
No.
Maybe the first killings of abortionists in the 90s were probably one of us.
Was it a conditioning of society?
Well, I don't know about that. So I think this is a good place to go into the whys
Yeah.
and some of the. But you talking about the violence makes me think of putting it this way. We grew up more so than any generation because our parents, they had radio, and so violence was audio. And back then, everybody self-censored way more
Oh yeah.
than they did even when we were growing up, because they still did. But by the time we get there, it's on its last legs, that self-censorship. But we were the first ones, I think, that really grew up with violence and death as a form of entertainment. At least in this country. Obviously, you go back far enough, the Roman Colosseum, that's exactly what that was. But in the modern world, our generation grew up with violence as a form of entertainment. But as I said before, I think we understood, this is make-believe, but it did have the effect of numbing us to violence, and with sarcasm being our second language as a generation.
Yeah.
I mean that pretty much that grows out of being the latchkey kids, and even though we got smacked upside the head for having a smart ass, we didn't stop.
It was the price of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just the price you paid for it. And eventually you learn not to say that stuff to mom and dad. You'd said it to each other. And even today, you get a bunch of Gen X guys together. What do? Half the time we spend ragging on each other.
Questioning someone's masculinity because of
But
a
it-
volleyball scene.
Exactly.
And notice that did not take very long to think of.
Right.
I mean, like, I was on that as soon as he just said something Top Gun. I was like, oh, well, it was a volleyball scene, right?
right.
Now,
So
That's how
it's
fast-
second nature.
That's how fast that thought hits you.
And you want to talk about where we learned sarcasm. I can tell you where we learned it. We learned it from Bugs Bunny. That dude was the king of sarcasm.
Yeah.
And Foghorn Leghorn, another one.
Yeah.
Those guys, I think, were
Chuck Jones and Robert McKimson, and
yeah.
That was
I mean,
it.
they taught it to us in a funny way, and so sarcasm to us was funny. Nowadays, sarcasm is a micro, possibly even a macro aggression.
It's an art form.
But it's an art form, exactly. So I think that's an interesting take on
Yeah.
the violence.
I mean,
we grew up with it, but
yeah, I
it
don't think-
normalized certain things.
Yeah, like I said, to me, you are always responsible for your actions. But
Yes.
I do not wish to give people an excuse or an explanation. I
Explanation
don't.
is fine.
Yeah, I mean, okay, explanation's fine, but like a way out. no.
Right. No way out. Yeah.
You're still responsible for your actions. It's still possible to understand that your actions have repercussions on other people, even if you've grown up watching violence.
right.
Speaking like a true libertarian.
Well, great example of how what we grew up with is not the source of the current tendency to anger. Let's say that,
Yeah.
not necessarily violence. Some of the worst serial killers are from the 60s and 70s and into the 80s. But by the 80s is when we started really catching them.
Now that's when they committed their acts. They were brought to age in the 40s and 50s.
Right. We're talking Leave It to Beaver Society.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
The dirtiest words ever said on TV were, "Ward, I think you were a little hard on the beaver last night."
That's right. That's right.
So
Anyway.
numbing. Somebody mentioned
I did that, yeah, yeah.
numbing. I think no, I don't think it numbs us. I think for the video game generation, though, again, that they do see it as a possibility for resolving an issue.
Okay. Yeah, well, when I say numb, I mean in the sense of it does not that it doesn't affect us.
Right. Okay.
Because
Good.
any Gen Xer watch the Twin Towers fall, it affects you.
Yeah.
Challenger blowing up,
Yeah.
it affects you. But what it does,
By the way, the space program just blew up 30 seconds into launch. Go back to class.
right? Well, yeah, we were in college.
Yeah. Somebody asked?
I was in
the other
high
day-
school.
Somebody asked the other day about, well, did they send you all home? No, they didn't send
They
us
didn't
home.
send us home. No.
No,
Yeah, they
Rob
sent
said-
us home at the end of the day.
Rub some dirt on it and keep going.
Right.
It's like, no, we're GenX. We didn't get sent home because of
Because of some event that
these
happened
are all-
somewhere 1,000
again,
miles away.
I work primarily with younger people. Again,
Well, we all do now.
you know.
We're the old guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like literally, some of my coworkers are the age of my children.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Okay.
Most of them are.
Yeah, because they have to cycle them out. So they're like, well, we got sent home after this or that. And it's like, did you all get sent home after
No.
the space shuttle? No, we didn't get sent home.
If we
They
had been
can't-
sent home, we would have been by ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
I
What do
mean,
you send us home to? An empty house?
Yeah, Bellarmine didn't cancel classes after.
No,
Nope.
no,
But,
not at all.
Go on.
A question for us: the normalization of violence that we're talking about. Saint John Paul II said that we have stopped living in a society of life and started living in a society of death. Do you take that this normalization of violence is being a keystone to that change?
I don't know if it's a symptom or the cause.
I think there's probably a
it could be a little-
correlation, but not necessarily a causation.
It might be a very
And-
strong correlation.
Yeah, in either direction. And again, this not like this is new. I mean, Rome was a society of death to a large degree.
Well, look at
So-
gangsterism in the 30s. Violence to solve your problems is not new.
Yeah.
But
What
people
is
were
new?
taken aback by that violence.
Well, they were the polite society, but when you think about it, a lot of the stuff that happens, well, even some of these so-called mass shootings that happen, supposedly there's like 30 or 40 mass shootings in or around schools every year, but you don't hear about most of them because most of them really aren't first mass shootings the way people
Well,
think
you
of it.
don't hear about it unless
And
it
the-
affects your community.
Well, no, you generally hear about the real
The ones that
shootings.
involve innocent people.
Yeah.
Mass shootings, gun violence in the U.S. is primarily gang violence.
It is.
It's 85% of gun violence is gang related.
And when we do hear, which is the equivalent of the gangster violence in the 30s,
It is.
20s, 30s, 40s.
Prohibition of a desired product.
Exactly. And what makes it different, though, is social media and the 24-hour news cycle that started in the 80s with CNN.
Well, and everybody's a journalist now.
And everybody's a
Yeah,
journalist
I mean, you pack
because
around in your pocket the equivalent of a 1950s.
more than
News-
that.
News studio.
Yeah, I mean, complete news studio is in your pocket.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So-
way more than 1950s. I mean, it's really,
1980s.
News
hell, it's
studio.
2010s. I mean, think about it. You can shoot movies on your iPhone that
Edit them, produce them, and
Yeah.
publish them.
that are visually just as clear and stunning as movies you see in the theater.
Yeah.
And really, and I say iPhone, it could be an Android as well, because the camera quality and all the smartphones nowadays is just incredible.
Yeah.
So I think that what makes it seem worse is the proliferation of channels for it to be viewed and heard
And comment upon.
and comment.
I mean,
Because
when
the
it was-
commentary is what inflames everything.
Yeah, when it was on the news and you couldn't comment on it, you had to keep your yap to yourself.
Or you talked about it over the water cooler, but then you just went on with your day.
Well, the comments section
But-
when we were growing up is the letters to the editor.
Yeah, but now anybody who wants to applaud something reprehensible can do so in public.
Although, as we have
Safely.
seen recently, there can be repercussions, which, on the one hand, I find troubling,
Example?
but I also find it heartening. A lot of the people who applauded the assassination of Charlie Kirk
True.
have come to find out that was a bad move to do it publicly on social media. Many, I don't know numbers, but it's all anecdotal.
It's all anecdotal, but
But
there have been people who have lost jobs.
lost jobs,
But
been
it
kicked
was-
out of their
it's bec-
apartments, whatever.
Yeah. The job losses are, again, people that are representing something that needs to say, hey, this is,
Well, I mean, there have been
you're not going to send your kid to a university where half the professors are like, yeah, shoot that guy. That's not what you want to do.
Well, I mean, there have been some outside of
Yeah,
news organizations and universities.
yeah.
Mostly it's younger people that didn't understand the concept of FAFO.
Welcome to Gen X.
But,
Right.
Your employer, I mean,
It,
if you're not a unionized employee, I mean, most of your employer can cut
pretty
you
much get ready
loose.
for anything.
Yeah.
Which is why I say that
It's
those
important to remember-
repercussions.
yeah, it's important to remember you represent.
Well, and that's why I
in
say
public
I'm
your
both
employer.
troubled and disheartened by people getting fired over these things. I'm heartened because it shows that some people are willing to hold a higher standard
Yeah,
of civil discourse.
yeah,
But on the other hand, and again, private businesses are private businesses. It has nothing to do with the First Amendment.
exactly.
However, business, especially the larger businesses, many times act as an extension of government. We saw that during COVID. So,
Yeah,
and also the idea that my employer can punish me for things I do outside of work is troubling. Now, obviously, Martin, for you, that is, that's part and parcel because of where you work.
yeah. But at the same time, if you are accused of a crime and then proven to have committed that crime, are you going to blame your employer for firing you?
Well, no, but again, applauding somebody's death while again
Right. And again,
it's not
true, not the same scale.
it's not the same thing. It's
scale.
not.
But again, if
It's not even.
if part of your online presence is to represent your employer,
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know that in all of these cases
Some of
it
them
has
were.
been.
some of them were.
Some, but that's what I'm saying.
were
I don't think
on-
all of them
yeah,
have been.
Yeah.
Because some are too young to really be that. But the reason I say it's troubling is this. I think all of Snakes and Otters, where we are probably in most agreement with a libertarian blue streak, is freedom of speech. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing what we do here.
Yeah.
So the idea that anybody would restrict legal, though reprehensible, speech is troubling.
Right. Like I would not want to take someone who applauded Charlie's death and say, "Oh, those are that's incitement," and then like arrest him. That's too far.
That's too far.
But if you some way represent an employer and then you're saying these things in public and then employer fires you,
Well,
FAFO, brother.
I'm gonna take probably an unpopular stance that those people that said that had every right to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
They have every right.
Again, right. I mean, I'm not.
But
calling
rights
for
also have
their arrest.
responsibilities.
FAFO. There are consequences to sometimes you say
Exactly.
things,
Yes.
but it's deplorable. It's, in my opinion, wrong. But they have every right to take that stance.
And the very fact that they have that right is important because at some point, the people who are on the Charlie Kirk side will not have as much influence as they do in the current federal government, and they will see that turned around on them because we've already seen that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a back and forth.
Yeah, there's always.
Anyways,
The
there's
pendulum
bottom
always
rail on
swings.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would say, going back to the beginning, Bugs Bunny is not the cause for the current milieu around. Sorry,
No, and
Word
again,
boner.
around the whole Charlie Kirk thing.
right.
Is it perhaps a symptom? Some kind of cause of it? Maybe, but I doubt it.
No, I would say it's more the modern, the video game, because it's, oh, you're dead. Oh, respawn.
Well,
You can,
and
you
you are
can-
also the difference between what we saw and experienced and the video game stuff is that we weren't doing the killing. We were just being entertained by it.
right, right.
Whereas
in the video game world,
you are the killer.
you're the killer, and then when you get killed, you respawn and keep killing.
Yep.
And so I think it does to a degree. Again, and I want to make plain, you're always responsible for your own actions.
But you have influences.
But you have influences, and I think
that's a fair point.
The video game culture is 10 times as influential in that kind of sensitivity than what we experience as Gen Xers. Yeah, again, even watching, Marshall Dillon shoot somebody every week, or SWAT, or the
Right.
100 cop shows.
Right,
that
because
we
we're going to
watch.
see that same guy on some other show next week.
Yeah, they
Or the same show.
Or the same
know,
show, yeah.
it was always reluctant violence. It was,
Oh, that's true. Well,
this
except
is
Bugs
our-
Bunny.
Yeah, but in most of these shows, yes, somebody got shot at the end of the episode, every episode, for 20 years, but it was always framed as, this is our last resort.
Right. Well, and it was always the bad guy.
And it was
Yeah.
the person who deserved to get shot.
It was always this
In the
idea
context,
of,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
the Marshall Dillon would always give him a chance. You can get out of town. You can, do whatever.
Turn a new leaf.
Yeah, you slapped around Miss Kitty, and we're not going to settle for that. But here's your chance. You're not taking your chance? Okay, I'm blowing your brains out. So, it was not always seen as, this is the most immediate solution to the problem. It was
Right.
always there was this last resort thing.
I think that's a good point.
But it's why I bring up Pulp Fiction.
yeah, I was going to say,
Again,
Pulp Fiction, it's the
because-
first resort.
Yeah, I mean it's this crazy, bizarro, upside down morality of Jules and Vincent trying to figure out, especially Jules, when he has this realization that we were saved from the bullets, and Vincent's going, it's not a miracle. He's just a bad shot, trying to figure out his place in the world now, when he's never questioned any of this, and now he's questioning it, and this.
Yeah, I
You know,
hear
ju-
he
just
turned
the-
his life around, joined a government organization, and started fighting for good.
One of them became a Jedi.
Yeah, and that,
and
yes.
became a Jedi.
Yeah, and became a Jedi, yeah.
So it's just that's the power of Pulp Fiction is very it's
It
layered.
is- it's
it works on several things of it on first glance. Of course, it stuns your sensibilities.
Well, absolutely. It was stunning.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
So different. And then at the
It's not a
same
date
time-
movie.
No, and it's
I hope not.
it.
If
it
you have a
just-
weird date, if it is.
well, that's okay too.
Yeah,
You know,
no kink shaming.
and it just
Hold that thought.
it just became this, this crazy commentary. Tarantino's, he was born in '63. He's not an Xer, but he's on the edge.
Right.
So his experience
Is very similar
is
to
similar
ours.
to ours. I mean, that's how he figured out how to grow up. Was he immersed himself in film, basically.
Yeah.
Film history. He is essentially a film historian, untrained.
As we discussed, in pre-show discussions, a lot of what we take as Gen X, canon was made by people who were not Gen X.
It's what we lived and what we
And that's
enjoyed.
true for every generation.
Yeah.
It's not until you become older, into your 40s and 50s, will you be able to start consuming content truly driven by your own generation.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's true for every group.
Yeah.
Although, with influencers now and the rise of social media and the ability, for, as you said, Martin,
more common, yeah.
for anybody to be a reporter or put anything out, that's less true than it was. And again, makes our generation unique compared to those both before and after us.
Yeah.
In many ways. So you were crossing the arms earlier, which either meant swords up or Wakanda forever.
Well, it wasn't Wakanda Forever. That was a time that we're at 30 minutes. I think it's time
Oh, it was
we do-
break. Okay.
I think it's time we have a bourbon
You're,
break.
you're being obtuse, Robert.
Bourbon break. No, I'm being sarcastic. I'm being obtuse in the pursuit of sarcasm. Let's put it that way.
Wakanda forever. Maybe that's another scene that I get excited about.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there.
I'm glad the Imperator is not here to comment on that one.
Yeah, because the Imperator and Cajun both would have gone there. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, you're the captain, so
Okay, I'm
you
gonna
decide who
I'm
starts.
going to start by talking about what I am drinking. I'm enjoying a bottle of Old Forester Single Barrel Black Label, and this is like revisiting an old friend. I cracked this bottle probably 3-4 months ago, and enjoyed it. As you can tell, it's 7/8 gone, and but I haven't touched it in a while. And man, I took it and had a nice corn bite to it, and as it's bloomed and mellowed, it is just like an old friend shaking your hand, and oh, it's so smooth and mellow and warming and comfortable.
I think we had that, if not the last time, then time before, here at your place, because I know I think several of us have tried it.
Yeah, I believe we've had that.
This I think this was a gift I was given by
He spilled bourbon. Oh my gosh.
Bourbon Abuse.
Yes, bourbon.
Mea
abuse.
culpa, mea maxima culpa.
At least all the ice is melted, so not as much bourbon spilled out.
But it's 90 proof, and I know that that's a lower proof, but I don't even taste a bite or a burn to it, and it is smooth.
Old Forester is
13-0.
some just fantastic blends, and well, I don't know if that's a blend, but mash bills and recipes. I have the 1910 Old Forester, and as I've said before on the show, I think the 1910 is the best of the 4 Whiskey Row series.
It is. It's very well thought of. It appears in my book.
Excellent. It is 93 proof, so just a smidge higher than the Statesman there. It's complex in that there's lots of layers. One thing I picked up that I don't remember picking up before, but I had the ice and I let it bloom just a little bit. When I picked it up and blew off the tannins, so you get rid of because the ethanol can really
get rid of that ethanol.
really mess with your sense of taste as well as your sense of smell. And when I did that, immediately got almost a maple syrup smell, which I don't ever recall getting on this, but it was just so sweet. That's what made me think it was it probably wasn't that exactly. But that was just the first. Oh my god! Because we were just talking about the Knob Creek, so maybe that's why it made me think maple syrup. But it was just so sweet, which I had never gotten that off the nose before. But it's just one of those great bourbons that there's lots of layers to it.
Yeah, that's always the great thing about the 1910. Why it's become such a favorite is you just get one thing and then you wait a little bit. Oh, there's another flavor.
Mhm.
Oh, there's another flavor.
That's to me the best
I just
way
love that
to
describe
yeah.
it, layered or stacked. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
when you can get a bourbon with that experience, that's one.
It's really special stuff.
It is, and this is at Kroger. All 4 of them are on sale currently, and I think this one is like about a $56 price tag. The 1920 is currently, I think, $59, and the other 2 are like $48 and $52. I mean, there's only a few dollars difference between them. The 70, the 97, the 10, and the 20. But they're all good. But this is my favorite of the 4. This is one of those ones I would pick as an everyday drinker if I could. It's a little bit higher price for an everyday drinker for me. But I would happily accept this as an everyday drinker just for the pure pleasure of it.
Mm-hmm. Any tasting notes on it?
There's a lot. I mean, this is one I think you get the. Obviously that caramel and vanilla. Sometimes that's more muted in bourbons. This, I think, it's very strong, but not overpowering. You also get a little bit of smokiness at some point from the char, which you don't always pick up. But like you were talking about with the Old Forester Statesman, the Black Label, there's not a heavy burn. Which is always a wonderful thing because that tends to overpower flavor quite a bit, and there's not any of that. There's probably some citrus in there, I would imagine, if I were to really stop and savor each sip to really pull it out.
To give a visual to our listeners, he was staring in the glass deeply, looking for an orange to be floating around in there.
I was. Well, citrus could be lemon, it could be orange, it could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Citron.
But when you bring up citrus, then probably using it in a high-end cocktail with citrus notes to it would probably be
I bet that would be
awesome.
good in an old fashioned.
Yeah, we all obviously for most of the show have thumbed our nose at cocktails with our bourbon, but ever since we've been to Bourbon Fest and experienced some really good mixers, I have changed my mind.
It can be done.
It can be done. Now, I still won't drink a mint and julep. Well, I was going to say not in your life, but maybe not in your life, but on mine. For $1 million, sure, I'll drink that, but it's still not going to be my go-to.
I'm not gonna make one. No.
After
No.
10 bourbons, it'd be delicious.
Mictors
I don't know
and
about that.
apple cider.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Again, I'm going to give you a recipe that everyone looks at me when I give it to them for a cocktail that thinks I am insane. But either Mountain Dew or Diet Mountain Dew and your bourbon of choice.
Interesting.
It is delicious.
I can sort of see that. I'd have to be very careful what I tried it with, but it's like Verner's, a ginger ale.
I can totally see that.
Ginger ale is an excellent. If you're going to add
yeah.
a soft drink, I think that's an excellent additive to many bourbons.
Yes, and my thing is, I've been off of soft drinks so long now that the super super sweet ones like a Mountain Dew are so unappealing anymore.
Yes.
Like I was like,
Truth.
ugh. It was like that would just make me almost sick.
Yeah, you can almost feel your teeth decaying.
Yeah.
Well, go with an ale 8-1 or any
those
citrus
are
based
yeah. Those are good.
soft drink.
And those are a little less in the
Got one if
hardcore
you want to try
sugar.
it.
But Kroger's currently selling like a cinnamon roll donut apple cider,
Oh,
like donut apple cider thing. So I've been mixing that with Michter's or Bullet. And
I would
trust
go
it.
with a bullet instead of a Michter's.
maybe that would make the Buffalo Trace taste.
Yeah,
taste
it would
better.
probably yeah. But I finished off my Bullet and my Michter's doing that. So
I finally finished off my Maker's cask strength.
Good.
Which that's again we're not. It's not that I think Maker's is a bad bourbon because as Father says, even bad bourbon is still bourbon. Although we've had some that have been,
yeah.
but they're few and far between. But that is just excellent. That we tried at the Bellarmine event, and wow, really enjoyed finishing that bottle off.
Yep.
Have you finished off a bottle lately? Because you just talked about. Since we're talking about finishing off bottles, is there anything that you've finished off lately? That
I finished off a couple that I won't mention because they were my mixer bourbons, and that I think are decent bourbons, but
Mhm.
I don't enjoy them straight. So when I crack a bottle and have one that that's I'll put it in the decanters, and the decanters I use to mix with mixers and. But again, I was telling somebody yesterday, I love experiencing bourbons, but I only typically enjoy it when people come over to the house because I very rarely come home and go, I just want a cocktail, and sit down and pour one and drink it because I enjoy using alcohol while I'm having fun with someone and not as a means to have fun.
Yeah, several of us on the show have parents that abused alcohol, for lack of a better word. Which I think, if you look at a lot of Gen X parents, that's probably true. Because you think about the time we come from, drinking was not socially frowned upon. I mean, it's not necessarily that frowned upon now,
expected.
but it is. It's looked at far differently, and I think
Yeah, I mean, today's generation does bars differently.
yes.
Does bars and does drinking differently.
Yeah, they don't go to the bar to hang out right after work for 6 hours. They go there because that's where the people are. but yeah, so I think most of us do enjoy it most when we're together and can talk about it. I mean, I'll still have, I mean, a couple of times a week when I'm in the mood, but I'll go weeks without having a bourbon
Oh yeah,
other than at
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, and over the weekend, I do like to have like a little something with dinner sometimes. I'm kind of big into the ciders right now, so the hard cider,
Mhm.
or have one beer or something with dinner.
Yeah, I can't do alcohol or anything other than water with my meals, but I will occasionally switch over and have a beer every once in a
Yeah.
while.
Ugh.
But it's got to be a
Ooh,
good beer.
brother, what's that?
No, I was on a trip for work and had what did I have? What did I have? What did I have? Oh, a Cuban sandwich.
Oh,
Ah.
ding, 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 ding.
Love Cuban sandwiches, and this one was really freaking good. The pulled pork part of it was exquisitely flavored, and had a oh, what was the beer that I had? Country
Neck-
Boy Cougar Bait.
Oh yes,
Made in
yes.
Lexington, Kentucky.
Yes. So
Yes.
that's that. When I say beer, I'm really on a kick of no national brands.
Right. Well,
I
craft.
try to buy only Kentucky branded beer, like
Right.
West Sixth or Country Boy or something like that.
Yeah. Well, even some of the national branded. I mean, heck, some of the stuff that we consider craft beer is now owned by the national brands.
Yeah.
It's one of the bad things about, and we've talked about this before, and certainly my pastor talks about it often enough. Everything we consume is only owned by half dozen companies, and some of those half dozen companies transcend different types of products. So whether it be drinks, foods, entertainment,
Yeah.
which
In our business, we call those different verticals.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and what it is it homogenizes things more so than we realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, that's the point of fast food is
right.
why it attracted our parents so much is consistent experience everywhere you go. So when you took the kids somewhere, you
You
didn't
didn't
take
have to
it.
worry about whether they were going
We're
to
gonna
eat it.
eat, yeah, because you went in someplace and they didn't like it. It's like, okay, well, we know we can shove McDonald's in your face and you'll shut up.
Yeah, and honestly, one time, McDonald's. I mean, nothing was as bad. Everything was better at some point. Like you look at McDonald's fries; they were bigger and better at some point. These little shoestring, and that's not just because I'm bigger. The scale has changed, but I mean, yeah,
RFK has denoted the wonderful benefits, health benefits of French fries cooked in beef tallow.
ooh, tasty.
Yeah, it's the real thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Beef fat is, or animal fat is not as horrible for you as they made out.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I would not want to have consume 6 or 7 ounces of animal fat in every meal.
Yeah.
But yes.
I wouldn't wash down a burger with a glass of rendered fat, but it's not in moderation. Everything's cool.
Now, Deacon Chuck would disagree with that.
Wholeheartedly.
So yesterday was Deacon Assembly Day that Francis, Brother Andre, and I were at, and one of our brother deacons who serves with Brother
Andre.
did a presentation on health, and I did not realize that our brother was so heavy when he was ordained.
He was
I've
a
never
wide body.
He was a wide, but he was bigger than any of us. I mean, he was as big as you were at your heaviest, I think.
When I started my healthy kick, I was just short of 400 pounds.
Wow.
I was 389 pounds when I started. I've lost
Wow.
175 pounds so far.
You've lost a whole adult
I've lost
male.
a Backstreet Boy.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, but that's astounding. I did not realize you were that.
Yeah,
that
my
high.
goal is to get down to
That's
200
bigger
pounds.
than the Imperator ever was. I think the Imperator topped out around 350. Which I'm not talking out of school. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
But
Wow.
Anyway, continue with what Brother Deacon Chuck said.
anyways, he's not wrong in the sense that yes, we should be eating more real food, less processed stuff.
Yes. Oh, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
But should we be eating hamburgers every meal? No. Should we be eating
No.
hamburgers 4 or 5 times a week? No. However, a burger or a steak is not going. I mean, yes, eventually it might kill you, but I mean, it's the sort of thing that is not
Yeah.
the
again,
devil
it's-
incarnate when it comes
again,
to food.
it's moderation and variety work in lean meats.
Yes.
Pork is very lean. Get in some pork, get in some chicken,
And a whole bunch of veggies.
and get some veggies
Yes.
in. A steak on the weekends is not a bad thing.
No. And to his point, his thing, especially around the veggies and stuff, is, losing a lot of the oils and sauces and what have you that we cook things in.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you have a vegetable and then you drown it in cream sauce, you're kind of
Defeating the purpose.
exactly
Right.
defeating
It's
the
like having a Snicker bar with your Diet Coke.
Yeah, exactly. I need 2 Twinkies and a tab. You know,
Oh, God.
Well, we are talking 80s stuff, so
know,
yeah.
God,
Yes.
Tab was the most disgusting diet drink ever.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that I do like is if I'm going to have a vegetable, let's make it simple. Steam those carrots and throw some pepper on them, and I'm good.
I'm not a
Or
huge
roasted,
fan of
roasted
carrots, but
potatoes or something.
oh
like
yes,
that.
I tell you, we have started doing what I call a vegetable medley.
Yeah.
For meals, which is potatoes, carrots, onions, sweet potatoes, and zucchini, I think,
Sounds delicious.
and just chop them up and bake them. Now she probably puts some oil in there
Yeah,
to
put some
slick it up,
oil,
yeah. And like she likes to do oven roasted potatoes with this Lipton soup mix thing. And it's like I'm not as big on that because one, they're too greasy, but also she doesn't like to peel the potatoes, and
Yeah.
certain times I don't like the skin. But the thing I like about that vegetable medley is the mix of flavors
Yeah.
that you get that makes it really tasty.
Gold potatoes.
Yes.
There's
yes.
nothing
Love gold potatoes. That
Yes.
buttery flavor to the gold potatoes. Just cut them up, a little olive oil in the bottom of the roasting pan, and some seasoning. Throw them in the oven. Boom.
Even red
Right.
potatoes
Do
too.
that
yeah.
with breakfast, some scrambled eggs, and throw some gold
Yes.
Red
potatoes, chopped
potatoes are
up.
great, but I'm on a
But
real.
you're right. The gold.
I'm on a kick for the
Yeah.
gold potato.
It's just the thinner skin. I think
Yeah.
that makes it the big thing. Yes. Wow. So we have talked food. We've talked bourbon,
Bourbon.
and I didn't even get to tell mine.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. That's
yeah,
right.
We need to hear your bourbon
Yes.
story.
What were you drinking?
Eagle Rare, which of
excellent.
course we've had multiple times on
Multiple
the
times.
show. But you talk about comfort bourbon like you talk about.
Right.
Eagle
And if you can pick
Rare.
that up retail, that retail at the retail price that you
Yeah.
get at the.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a great. I mean, $40.
I mean, 10-year-old bourbon is just never wrong. And
Mm-mm.
it's this wonderful buttercream, almost like buttercream icing flavor that I just love. And it's just like, can this just be like intravenously applied to my taste buds? And
it is a phenomenal bourbon.
yeah,
It really
it's
is.
just one of those where just like, if this is the only thing you drink, I'm not going to argue with you.
Right.
Okay, now if you said we mentioned it several times on the show before, but if somebody's listening to us for the first time and they're interested in Eagle Rare, what tasting notes did you get on it?
Like I said, it's like this buttercream icing, so you get kind of a little vanilla, and a little of a little butter, and maybe just a tiny bit of caramel.
Any
And it-
bite, burn, Kentucky hug, kiss?
Mm-mm.
It's just
I may have
so-
a hug, but
Yeah, I mean, I've been sitting there slurping on it after the ice melted, basically. But man, it just goes down. It's like seeing an old friend.
yes, the 1910 is definitely a hug. Actually, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
You get a kiss and a hug with that, which is kind of nice.
yeah.
You don't want to know what comes next.
Well, all you got to remember is that when you go for your exam, if the doctor has two hands on your shoulders,
I heard that somewhere before.
yep, that's a problem. Although a lot of
But, I
doctors
mean,
don't even do that
if
anymore.
If you like the volleyball scene, maybe it's not.
Maybe that's
problem.
okay. Yeah.
Or Wakanda forever. Large black man with muscles. Hold that thought.
hold that thought. Hold that.
Anyway, so
I
let's.
didn't think we would be using that
Without-
without the imperial.
Well, I've started drinking
Or
way
Cajun,
before.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's return back and
We haven't talked about the why yet.
Yeah, I want to touch on the why. I mentioned this in pre-show discussion, but today we're recording this on a Sunday, which is abnormal for us. It's usually on a Saturday,
Yep.
and both of us who are deacons got busy, and we ran from church and
Separately.
doing baptisms and whatnot. And I was mentioning to the crew as we're gathering here that today of all days, it really struck me how the evolution of time is the wheel of time is rolling on. And I mentioned that I had a server today that I remember when she was in fourth grade and starting. Now she's in Assumption High School, and how I looked out in the crowd and some of my Eucharistic ministers, the extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, came up, and they were servers when I started being a deacon. Now they're high schoolers, and some of them are in college. Some of them are engaged or married or
Mhm.
bringing their children for baptism. And I yearn,
13 years as a deacon will do that.
yeah, and I yearned. Yeah, I think one of the reasons that we enjoy these times of reliving our Gen X movies and TVs, it brings back a time where we weren't in charge. We weren't the responsible ones. We were. It was a simpler time.
I don't know. We were
Responsibility is a weird thing for Gen Xers because we've been responsible since we were 10 years old.
or younger.
So every opportunity to not be responsible is treasured, and then we get forced to be back in charge of something.
Well, back then we had
Jeez.
limited responsibilities till 5 o'clock when Mom and Dad got home. Now the world
Well,
kind of
but we
depends
were
on us.
responsible for not burning the house down.
Yeah, we did that most of the time.
Most of the time we were successful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, we could clock out and go outside. We got chased out of the house till the street lights came on, and we weren't responsible anymore.
Well, it's weird. I think Martin is right. It is weird. It's a weird mix because we were responsible to take care of ourselves. Some of us were responsible to take care of our younger siblings at a very young. I was the youngest, so that was not my experience. But also, my brother and sister were old enough that they didn't take care of me either. So
No, they were gone. Yeah.
yeah. So I was latchkey for both my older siblings and my parents. So I was doubly abandoned.
The
It is
true
that-
sandwich generation.
Yeah, I mean, just that every opportunity to let go of responsibility, we take it.
Right. And so we were incredibly responsible in the sense that, we had to figure things out for ourselves, do for ourselves. I can remember coming home from mostly high school and, pulling out the deep fryer.
I know this is
And throwing in a bunch of fries and maybe a chicken patty or a veal patty and having first dinner, because then I would eat when Mom made dinner later.
Second
See,
dinner.
to me, you are the quintessential Gen X when I hear that story of that you deep fried food by yourself.
Right now, granted, I was in
Oh,
high school, but still,
Yeah.
yeah, we're still talking like 14, 15.
Yeah, yeah.
How many
I mean,
14 or
that's just
15-year-olds would you
crazy.
trust to deep fry food nowadays?
Like
I would
did-
trust a lot of them, but I don't think we give them. We don't.
We probably don't give them enough credit.
Yeah, we don't give them
Yeah.
enough credit, and we're like, oh, we'll take care of that for you. We're the helicopter parents.
Well, it's to a degree we are, and I think partially that's because one of the ways that Gen X deals with the trauma of our own childhood is trying to make sure that our kids don't experience the same things.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I don't think it was conscious. I think it was this thing. This tells you how pervasive.
We wanted to be better than our parents.
Yes, and this tells you how
As do all
pervasive
parents.
Yeah.
that. And I use trauma not in the I got to spend 20 years on a couch. Although a lot of us probably could have spent 20 years on a couch with a
Hell
therapist.
no.
But it's just not in our
Hey,
DNA. And there's nothing wrong with people
Judging
seeking.
from the 90s, we probably should have been on a couch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, judging from a lot of the crap we did in the 80s, I mean, it's just a lot. There's just a lot. But it's not our first, especially guys, it's not our first response. But, being responsible and then trying to make sure our kids didn't have to go through that, it just shows how oddly uniform a lot of our experiences are.
Yeah.
Even though we
Yeah.
like to think of ourselves as very unique. We're all individuals.
No, we're not.
No, you say, I'm not.
I'm not.
Just because, so many of us did turn into, now some of us were really bad helicopter parents. Some of us were just, I just want you to have a better life than I did and make things
Yeah.
easier. Because, I mean, I grew up, now I realize, lower middle class at best as far as economic goes. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize there was I mean, I knew that other kids had more stuff than I did, but it didn't, it's just the way things were.
Yeah.
There was no envy beyond the, oh, I wish I could have that. Not that deep-seated hatred kind of envy that you see nowadays in certain ways. But it's just, our response to that trauma, for lack of a better word, produced that helicopter parent thing, and it is so pervasive. It's one of the things I find fascinating.
The fact that we have the term helicopter parent tells us how pervasive it is.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And you're right, and it is us. But it's not like we all had a meeting and said, "All right, we're going to do this." Because for the first thing, you couldn't get all of us to agree on a meeting time because
No.
half of us are going to be asleep when that meeting goes on.
Yeah.
Anyways, Martin has been trying to say
So,
something.
I wanted to throw another movie out there
Oh, okay.
that I think
Back
is,
to the topic at hand.
is hugely part of Gen X childhood, but is pure escapism. And maybe that's why we love it so much. And that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was just
I thought you
on-
might have gone with Star Wars, but you could go with any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but especially Raiders because it's an 80s film. We are the beginnings of Gen X are hitting 16, 18.
I mean, we turned anywhere from 14 to 15. Those first
Right.
couple years
yeah.
of the 80s. So yeah.
So it's, and again, you talk about cable is one of those first ones that was on cable over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas and Spielberg are going to wring every nickel out of what they do. So, but it's just so much pure escapism.
With lots of killing.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where, yeah, it was Indiana went right to that as the solution for his problem at one point.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
used
the
the
guy with
whip
the sword.
first.
Bang.
Bang, yeah.
That was one of the best part, and that was ad-libbed.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
because-
Harrison Ford was suffering from the flu.
He had the flu and didn't want to shoot some big fight scene, so they said, "Okay, well, just shoot the guy then."
Yeah. It's like, well, I got a gun. Why would I not shoot the guy? He's obviously threatening me.
yeah. I mean, the guy brought a sword to a gunfight, so he lost.
Yeah.
FAFO.
That's
Exactly.
right. Exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, just that pure escapism, that great Spielberg callback to, and Lucas, calling back to those serials of the 30s and stuff. It's great that movies made in the 80s and set in the 30s. If you made it now, it would be set in the 80s.
Oh God, thank you for making me feel old.
So it's we're as far away from the making of that film as that film is from its time period.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that stuff going around the last probably
Yeah,
10 years.
crazy.
That's, what's interesting, going back to the why, you're talking about the
Yeah.
escapism. I think because again, we are a dichotomy, and we can't ever be just one thing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we enjoyed certain movies was the escapism, and even some of the others, there's an element of escapism because that's what movies are. But one of the reasons I think we like certain movies is it speaks to the reality of our experience. So Top Gun, when it's set, you're coming off of, I don't remember what year it was made, but it was made either at the very beginning of George Bush Sr. or the end of Reagan's second term.
Yeah. It's a Reaganite film.
Okay.
I mean, it's, yeah.
You're talking about,
It's based on the Gulf of Sidra event, I think. in
yeah.
Yes.
85 or 86.
So, you've got a time period where, patriotism was running high. And I mean true patriotism, not the nationalism that you see today. And
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in Top Gun where the military guys are the bad guys.
right.
There's nobody working against Maverick.
right.
a-
Actually,
as
they're
an
all
a-
there to help him.
Yeah,
Now, Iceman was competing against him.
competing, but
But
not
we
working
understood
against-
that and
yeah.
respected it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
we still thought he was a jerk, but
they
we
were all
respected
going
it.
for the same goal.
Yes.
Yes.
So
To be the best.
right.
Another
so it's one
hallmark
of
of
those
the
films
80s.
where there's no cynicism.
Yes.
There's no cynicism in Top Gun.
Which is odd that we would like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's before we learned the art of cynicism.
Oh, I think we knew it by then.
But and I think to a degree that's part of the fun of Indiana Jones and
yes.
Lost Ark. There's no cynicism.
Whereas when you look at those teen comedy films, we talked a lot about the John Hughes stuff. I mean, he is our our muse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He
Not
really,
huge, yeah.
even though he's not one of us, he understood us. He told our story better than anybody.
He defined us by telling our story.
And, well, yeah, in a lot of ways. And I think the thing that made the Breakfast Club, even 16 Candles to a certain extent, and Pretty in Pink, what made them so important to us is how real they feel to us.
Yeah.
Even Better Off Dead has an element of feeling real to us because those people we encountered in that movie, every one of those guys were real in our high school. And, Lane is the unlikely hero, which unfortunately in high school there weren't a whole lot of unlikely heroes. But he's the guy you always wanted to be, the guy who, even though he was not in one of the popular cliques, he still ended up on top, which is what we all kind of hoped for, because very few people are in the popular cliques, and honestly, most of them are assholes. Oddly enough, some of them became better after high school. I know a few that that's the case, but Stalin's always an ass. He probably went into politics. And,
almost certainly.
yeah. And probably got caught on on some boat with some blonde bimbo.
He might not have been the politician. He might have been the campaign manager, though.
Certainly to start, yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. He worked on the campaign.
He was one of those guys pulling the levers, for some
getting the hookers and blow for the for the parties and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
corralling the hookers
to
and
find
blow.
who we are. We're all the jock and the nutcase and the
Well, and that's the
socialite.
interesting
The
thing about
basket
that.
case, yeah.
The basket case. And I think that the beauty of that is not that we were, because not obviously we're jocks, is that we all had struggles, but you never got to see them. Right. And that's the thing about Gen X.
We hit all the struggles.
We buried our struggles. It's why so many of us
We got sent to detention for having a flare gun in our locker.
Yeah.
But nobody
Because-
ever knew why we had the flare
Yeah,
gun.
we were going to kill ourselves.
Yeah, why would you bring a flare gun to school? Yeah. Although for sometimes, maybe that flare gun was brought by somebody like the Imperator just because he wanted to shoot it off. Just in general.
He was never convicted of that.
He was there. That's right. It was all
Convicted?
speculation.
No, never
No.
convicted.
No, never convicted. But I think but in all of those movies, either we saw who we wanted to escape to with
Indiana Jones.
Or
Indiana Jones or
escape
Maverick,
from.
or it was what we wanted to escape from because as you said, Martin, Breakfast Club hits really close to home for a lot of us.
I mean, it's
It's-
really close to the bone.
Yeah.
The pressure to succeed, the pressure to, the way the parents often lived vicariously through us.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah.
because so much was denied to them. I mean,
Which is not unlike what we've done with our kids.
yeah. I mean, I think about my mother. When she was a high schooler, a financially disadvantaged young woman didn't get to go to college, no matter how intelligent you were.
Right.
My mother finished third in her class in high school, took classes like Russian and things like that. She was very intelligent, very in tune, very, very plugged in, but had no money. And that was it. You either got married or went to work.
Yeah.
She got married. So,
La Svedanya.
when you realize then later that your children have opportunities you don't have, you don't want them to miss.
Yep.
You don't want them to miss out. And so that pressure is on to make sure you succeed at every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to do.
It is hard.
When you ask a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old that to be a success in every moment of life, it's crushing. It's
And
crushing.
What's really fascinating, I don't know if this is true for you guys, my parents, again, because they had their own struggles with various things.
Yeah.
Alcoholism is certainly the biggest part of that. There were times that, there was stuff going on in the household because of alcohol. It was, now that was one of the things I knew was not normal. But a lot of stuff that you just don't know that stuff is not normal, Like there's jokes around wasn't that funny the way our parents used to lock us in the closet every night? It's like our parents didn't lock us. That was just you, you know. But we didn't know.
Yeah.
And what you were just talking about, about how parents live vicariously through us. My parents, because I was the good kid, and granted, after my brother, I got away with so much later after I realized I could, but I could have gotten away with so much more because my brother had set such a poor example that I was a perfect angel.
Yeah.
And yes, I was smart and I got good grades in school, but they always thought I got better grades than I did sometimes, absolutely perfect 100 score on everything. It's like, well, I wasn't that good. Mainly because I was, if I wasn't really motivated, I was kind of like my own kids sometimes, my oldest and my youngest, both incredibly smart. And, if they're not interested in it, especially my oldest, she was just less likely to put in the work to
Yeah.
get the really good grade. She could have, but
Yeah. I mean, that is something where
that's an example of them living vicariously through us.
Yeah, I mean, I know for sure for me and for my sister, we had to be great at everything.
Yeah.
It's great. You couldn't just be, oh, well, you weren't interested in that? Well, okay, that's fine. You can have a C in that or a B in that. No, I mean, it was an A in everything.
Yep.
I don't care how interested you are in it, you're going to have an A.
Yeah, it's one of the bad things. If you show aptitude and smarts early on, you have set your own expectations
Yeah.
for our generation. It's not that you couldn't get smart later, but it just made the pressure that much sooner. Matter of fact, you were probably better off being blowing things off when you were younger and then being smart, because the pressure probably was less.
Yeah.
Because you'd already set the expectations.
I've grown to appreciate the idea of, well, just do the best you can on that if that's not something you're interested in.
Yes.
Like, yes, if you're interested in one particular thing, then absolutely pour the work into that. Whereas I had to spread myself so thin and put all the work into so many things.
Because my parents were probably, I'm not saying they weren't involved in my childhood and what have you, but as I look back on my life, I realize I think my parents are even less involved than most Gen X parents, which is really hard.
That would be challenging.
That was challenging. So I probably was not pushed as hard.
Yeah.
But the expectations were the same.
Yeah.
They just didn't follow up.
Yeah.
Which in a way is almost as bad. Maybe in some ways it's worse because there was nobody to make sure I was following through on things other than my own, well, this is what you're supposed to do. But what you said, Martin, though, about making sure our kids didn't have to do some of that stuff, that really does hit home. We don't, we just don't want we didn't want our kids to deal with some of those struggles.
Yeah.
And again, I think a lot of it was subconscious.
Can I do one more thing with?
Ask him. We are at 117.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
time.
we got to finish. Okay. I just want to do one more thing with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Have at it.
So there's kind of this thing out there that everything that happened would have happened
Yes.
without Indy. I disagree.
Right. Yeah,
What would have changed?
So the Nazis have been told, apparently by Belloc, that's kind of the unspoken piece, told by Belloc, the headpiece of the staff of Ra, Abner Ravenwood, has it, and he's in the U.S. That's in the communique. So they can't find Abner. So what's the next best thing? They would have gone back to Belloc, and he said, well, Jones is his protege. Follow Indy. Tott's on the plane. The Nazis on the plane following Indy. That's how they find Marion. So without them following Indy, none of it happens.
Well, I think as things fell through, yes, I think that's the case. I think you might make the case that if Indy had never gone looking for Marion, that maybe they would have gone to her next. So I don't think it's an absolute guarantee.
But they didn't know where to find her because they didn't know where to find Abner. So
Right.
the idea was follow Indy.
The question is, could they have found Marion?
I don't think they could have found Marion.
Well, I don't remember. How did he know where she was?
Well, he knew where Abner had been last.
Well, then the question becomes...
He was looking for Abner.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Because he goes in, where's Abner? And it's like, he's dead. Okay? I'm all that's left. Marion says, Abner's dead, and I've been following him all over the world with little bits of junk. So, yeah, the Nazis would never have found anything without following Indy.
I'm not willing to say never, because Hitler poured a
I think there is some credence to
I mean,
his
like Billock
theory.
says that they
back
could
off,
have.
back off.
Belloc could have, like he says, that we might just end up bulldozing the well of the souls and not even realize it, and there it is.
Right, but I mean, with all the resources that Hitler put into finding stuff that was mystical, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, maybe they would have ended up putting a lot of resources into tracking down where Abner had been, which would then eventually lead to Marion. That's what I'm saying. I'm not willing to say that never,
Okay.
but the circumstances
But this
as
idea,
presented, certainly not in the time frame that we
right,
saw.
this idea that Indy didn't drive the action is mistaken.
Once he found her, he was useless as far as the outcome. But that's a pretty damn important part.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk briefly about all of these reminiscences that we've had. Could these shows and/or movies be made today?
Some of them.
And if not, why not?
In different forms. Unfortunately, pure storytelling has to trim its sails these days.
Yeah.
Beautiful imagery and word
You
usage.
know, it's not that
You got it right.
that like if you made Indiana Jones now, you've got this great script for the Search for the Lost Ark. You probably would have reversed the roles, like Marion would have.
Lara
said.
Croft.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not the same thing. Could you make the movie? Could you tell the story? Yeah, probably.
They probably wouldn't have said it in the 30s with the Nazis, though. Because honestly, when you think about it, there's not a whole lot of movies set in that historical period anymore. Partially because very few people alive today
Even understand it, yeah.
even understand that. Yeah. So they, because our parents had that experience, and we were born barely 20 years after the fall. Of
Right.
the
I mean,
Third
we spent our childhood watching the war
Reich.
movies.
Yeah, no, Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, Hogan's Heroes or the Rat Patrol or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Um,
there's a context that's easily accessible up.
They would have
through
had Saddam
last
Hussein
few
looking
years.
for this stuff.
Yeah.
For those that don't recall the importance of the 1930s in there, I'm reading a book now called The Death of Democracy, talking about the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany and the death of the Republic of Germany at the time. And there is an amazing amount of coincidences between modern day America and Germany in the 1930s that I think people should go back and read this book to just examine the correlations between the two.
I'm not even going to touch that because I think we could really rabbit hole down.
I'm not making accusations or comments
Well,
on politics.
I think bringing up
Yeah,
the
you
book.
are.
And again, I'm not saying you're lying. Maybe you don't mean to, but I think that does. I think by bringing that up, you say, "Oh, there's a lot of correlation." It does make an accusation.
Okay, I encourage everyone to read the book and come to their own determination.
It's still close to it, but and that's a valid, maybe accurate, maybe not accurate. I lean on the not accurate, tend to the not accurate. I don't think.
I mean, you can make correlations out of all kinds of stuff.
Right. And it's certainly something that could be worthy of discussion, but not on this show.
Yeah, and I'm not bringing it up, but you mentioned that,
Right.
that people don't understand the importance of 1930s.
And part of the problem with it, and maybe that book has this too, I don't know because I've not read it. A lot of what people do understand of the 30s is a caricature of what it really was.
Yeah.
Both life in this country and elsewhere. So the question to me it is always with stuff like that especially likes to compare any atrocity that happened in the past to current circumstances, saying, "Oh, this could happen because see, this is very much the same." There's not been a crystal knock. There's not been other things, but I think it's a dangerous road to follow because again, that caricature is never the full truth. I've not read that book. Maybe it is a very good scholarly exploration of that. But certainly the 30s should be studied, if for no other reason than we can't let that stuff happen again. I think it's a lot harder in our country because We regularly schedule a change of power. Parliamentary systems do not. That's why I like our system better than parliamentary systems. Is that we schedule changes of power.
Amen, Robert. Amen. So does that wrap this up? Are we,
Yeah, I
are
think,
we done?
Well, I think
is there any closing comments that you feel like we haven't addressed in terms
well,
of
you kind of posed a question we didn't really talk about at the end. Is could this stuff be made? I think that's still worth exploring just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Certain things can be made. Top Gun, obviously, because they did. You could do Raiders. The question is whether or not you would do it as a Lara Croft movie or something else. I don't know that they would bother doing it as a.
I mean, Pulp Fiction, as much as it is a document of the '90s, you certainly you might have to make it even weirder.
Yeah, you
Shock
could.
us now,
wow.
but you certainly could. You could certainly make a similar film.
You could because it already has been made. It would lose its impact.
Yeah.
Part of the impact of that is that it was so different. Now, obviously, a lot of the comedies you could like 16 Candles. You could not make today.
No,
and
because
why?
I mean, the parents would
Pardon?
Why is that?
parents would have Jake
repeatable?
arrested.
Parents would have Jake arrested. Well, parents would have Farmer Ted arrested.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's consensual questions there.
Yeah. But
Um,
especially with Jake being so much older than Samantha, he's a good 2 years older, right?
at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that Jake did anything with her that is arrestable, but certainly
But he's
the cops.
going to.
Well, he's going to. But certainly the cops. Well, you think that doesn't go on now? I mean, come on. But certainly the cops would have been called on that party way before it got to the
Yeah.
point at the end. Because, we just don't let kids, try not to let our kids do this. Parents still do that. They'll go out of town for the weekend and, don't make a mess.
Yeah, but we now have Ring cameras and
yeah,
and
now
other
we
things.
have
We would see 300 people come into our house.
exactly. We would again. There's no video proof
They
of
would
all the
just
stupid
they would
stuff
party
we did.
elsewhere now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
would
they
party
would.
in the house. You just go someplace and party.
But a lot of younger generation doesn't do that kind of partying.
Yeah, I mean because of Ring cameras and things,
Well, no, I mean
you
there
don't
seems
do
to
house
be
parties.
there seems to be not that they don't party, but I mean there just seems to be less of a desire for that, as I understand it.
For the
yeah.
super large, they tend to have like they want to have a group of friends and socialize with them, but not invite everybody that's
Right.
within
Have you all
earshot.
seen the Everclear challenge that's going on now?
Yes.
With the young group, they're like, "Oh, this isn't going to be bad," and they flip the top off and they try and take a shot of Everclear, and
their
they're
head
literally
explodes.
licking their tongues on the carpet because it's killing them so bad.
Yeah. Definitely things are different in that sense. So 16 Candles couldn't be made. Pretty in Pink, I think you could still make.
Yeah.
Because I think its story is universal. Breakfast Club, parts of it you could not make.
All in the
You would not
Family,
have-
couldn't make All in the Family.
I don't know.
You would. I mean, people have attempted to remake All in the Family, but again, they just flop it. They just
Well, because it's a different
Cedric
time.
the Entertainer is the lead,
Yeah.
and you just do the same stories, only it's all reversed. Or
Family
or-
Guy, in some ways, is All in the Family like. It's not.
yeah.
But we don't have.
I mean, George Rodriguez, not Rodriguez. What's his name?
Lopez.
Yes, George Lopez.
George Lopez, yeah.
Yeah,
He's the Hispanic version.
the Hispanic. Yeah. So, I
Well,
mean, he does-
Doug and Carrie, Leah Remini, and
and Kevin.
Kevin something or other.
Yeah, whatever his last name is.
What was the show they were in? It's a similar kind of thing. It's basically a couple dealing with, inner city suburb slash suburb life.
I
But
think you can remake these shows that we're saying you can't remake. You just can't do it with a white power or white privilege in the front. If you're starting with a black hero that is slightly racist or homophobic or something, or
I'm not entirely sure you can do the racist against. Honestly, I think the racist against white people. You think aspect you could do. I don't think you could do the homophobic part.
yeah, that's probably true.
Because if you look at so many shows, acceptance and promotion of that sort of not just homosexuality, but formerly hugely discriminated groups. And some will argue, well, they're still discriminated against. Maybe, maybe not, but that's a discussion. I don't think a lot of that sort of thing would be allowed because that would be somebody that would have to be vanquished immediately. Because I think
Let's use the current term, canceled.
well, I mean, the character in the show would have to be vanquished
Okay.
immediately. Yeah, I don't mean the show necessarily. That's why I say that certain things could be made and certain things couldn't. There is no Archie Bunker equivalent that is prevalent in today's society. Archie Bunker, that stereotype was prevalent in the 70s. I mean, let's face it. He had a lot more in common with a lot of our parents than maybe some of us would like to admit or would be willing to admit.
Exactly.
He was a carbon copy of my grandfather.
There you go. I mean, I think he was worse in many ways than how I saw my mom and dad act. But in some ways, he was just the same. But mostly, I think he was worse just because, you know, because he was almost a caricature of that stereotype to begin with. So I don't think you could make that. You could make Maude because I think that would probably be very popular with some groups. But I think it would the humor falls flat is part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
You could make Good Times because I think that's one of those universal shows. Everybody loved Good
Yeah.
Times. That was just family struggling to do right by each other.
yeah.
That happened to be black.
That happened. Well, I think it was part and parcel of the show because I mean it was set in the Black Projects and everything. But even so, I think you could still make that.
It is still mainly a family dynamic show.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the reason it's not that you couldn't make some of these programs, but you wouldn't because it's been done before.
Well, it's been
And
done
as much as they love to retread on the same ground. Sometimes when things have been done, they've been done. Let it go.
Yeah. I mean, certain things, the cop shows they're still making.
Well,
The hospital dramas they're still making.
First of all, I need to put my formal protest in. My wife told me the other day that they're planning on remaking Harry Potter. Absolutely not. I refuse to partake in that.
It's been done.
Well,
Okay.
a lot of shows. I mean, a lot of things. Lord of the Rings. Now, granted, it hadn't been done live action the way we saw in the early 2000s, but that's not the first time that story had been told on screen. Granted, it was animation prior, Ralph Bakshi, but stuff gets remade. Cinderella gets remade. Seven Dwarfs, in one form or another, gets remade. So yeah, I expect Star Wars. I expect Harry Potter. Even Raiders at some point will be remade.
Blasphemy. It is all blasphemy.
They will follow the money.
Well, they will. Anyway, I think we're getting a little long in the tooth here. We can
Yes,
continue talking about this ad nauseum, and we
Oh
probably
my God! Can you
will.
imagine what this episode would have been like if all six of us were here?
Oh, we wouldn't have been past the first discussion.
Well, this. Not that I regret enlarging our cast to six, but I think one of the things that we have lost is this in-depth discussion with a smaller set of
The intimacy, the
voices.
Yeah.
the quickness of the quips about volleyball.
Yeah. Well, certainly we spend more time on those kind of things. But
Here's the thing for me is I beat the Imperator to it since he's not here.
That's
He
right.
would have had the same comment.
That's right.
And
Well,
I'm
we
sure-
were
I'm
probably
sure-
all thinking because I thought it. You just didn't. I just didn't say it. You just beat me to. I wasn't planning on saying it, but it did cross my mind. So, well, but I mean, there are times when we do get that, but it tends to be when two of us dominate things, like
Yeah.
you and I have done many times. Which
Well, I'm getting to the point. I have no problem interrupting you all.
which is about time.
Good,
Which is about
good.
time. Anyways.
Anyway, so let's talk about what we're going to do now. We're going to Code of Honor next. And we're actually, from what I understand, we're kicking it back to old school fashion before I was even part of the program. Whereas we're all going to bring our quote to the topic, and we're all going to dive deep into those comments and what it means.
Yep.
So stay tuned. As they said in GenX, same bat time, same bat channel.
We hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern, just in time for your morning commute. And every fifth Friday, we drop a special Hoopajube episode. Spread the word we are on all the major platforms, and leave us a review. That helps others find us. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com. Join us next time. same snake time, same otter channel.